I did it all. I watched Tiger King. I got to the end of Spotify. Like, we all did it, right? And
no, we did not do it.
Well,
how's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Bari Weiss's appearance on Bill Maher's HBO show. Now, if you don't know who Bari Weiss is, she's a very popular person, a journalist, worked for Wall Street Journal and also New York Times. She's kind of a centrist. She could be right or left, depending upon the situation. But what she said right here, I think, exemplifies her kind of centrist nature, because everybody is beginning to agree with it, aside from some of the fringe people in society that are not really going to believe anything. They've been successfully brainwashed by the media and politicians. They could tell them anything and they'll just hop to believe it. They'll say, hey, jump off that cliff and you'll grow wings, and they'll do it. But for the average person, what she said was right on point. Now, before I go any further into it, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see and hear what she said. You're going to hear the reaction from Bill Maher's mostly leftist, in my humble opinion, crowd. After we get done with that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep, detailed analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
I'm done.
With this question?
No, I'm done with COVID.
Oh,
I'm done. It's
yeah.
like I went so hard on COVID. I
remember.
Sprayed the Pringles cans that I bought at the grocery store, stripped my clothes off because I thought COVID would be on my clothes. Like, I did it all. I watched Tiger King. I got to the end of Spotify. Like, we all did it, right? And
No, we did not do it.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of us did do it. And then we were told, you get the vaccine. You get the vaccine and you get back to normal. And we haven't gotten back to normal. And it's ridiculous at this point. I know that so many of my liberal and progressive friends are with me on this, and they do not want to say it out loud because they are scared to be called anti-vax or to be called science denial or to be, smeared as a Trumper. I'm sorry, if you believe the science, you will look at the data that we did not have 2 years ago, and you will find out that cloth masks do not do anything. You will realize that you can show your vaccine passport at a restaurant and still be asymptomatic and carrying Omicron. And you will realize, most importantly, that this is going to be remembered by the younger generation as a catastrophic moral crime. The city of Flint, Michigan, which is 80%, I think, minority students, has just announced indefinite virtual schooling. In the past 2 years, we've seen among young girls a 51% increase in self-harm. People are killing themselves. They are anxious. They are depressed. They are lonely. That is why we need to end it, more than any inconvenience that it's been to the rest of us. I think it's a pandemic. It's like, at this point, it's a pandemic of bureaucracy. It's a pandemic of bureaucracy. It's not real anymore.
Let's not forget.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, shout out to Bari Weiss. Round of applause. That was fantastic. I think most Americans feel that way. Now, whether they want to come out and say it or not, whether they want to truly believe it or not, I think a lot of us are feeling that way. Okay, even some of the most hardcore mask wearers, vax getters, they're starting to understand, hey, wait a minute. What I was told is not necessarily the truth. I was told that if I get this vax, it'll be over. I was told if I get this second vax, it'll be over. The booster, everything else. Matter of fact, I was told that if I got the vaccine, the other vaccine, the booster, there'd be no need for a mask. But now we have mask mandates for little kids in school. But I thought that the kids weren't really going to be affected by this. Okay, so your everyday life is starting to just kind of unravel. You're having personal problems. You got all kind of things going on. The economy is getting weird because there's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of money out there. But at the same time, you got a lot of inflation going on because there's not enough workers. I mean, while at work, you get so much money from all this stimulus and government assistance and all types of stuff from the state and the Fed and everybody else. What's the point of going to work? I'll just stay at the house when I'm 35 years old, my mommy and daddy, and do nothing. That's the general element that's out there. And regular people that work hard, take care of their family, take care of each other, they're like, man, this ain't really what I thought it was going to be. I thought if I voted for Biden, that things would be different. And as a matter of fact, I saw a group of Biden voters who regret their decision to vote for Biden.
In Atlanta, I sat down with several Biden voters who did not vote Democrat in 2016.
Leaning into the argument about elections and election fairness in either direction turns me off.
What could Biden do right now to make you feel less like a reluctant Biden supporter?
I mean, we got a lot of problems. We got a high inflation. We have supply chain issues.
They thought it was going to be all sunshines and rainbows. They thought that Trump was Lucifer himself walking planet Earth. But then they got Joe Biden and things have gotten worse. It's like, wait a minute. That was not supposed to happen. I thought it was going to be better. But obviously, they were sold a bill of goods that didn't come true. Americans are being red-pilled, not in the relationship sense. I'm talking about red-pilled as far as what's going on in their everyday life with this politics stuff. They're being red-pilled at a breakneck pace. Okay, in real time, you're seeing it. That applause right there from the crowd, that was 100% real. They were feeling that. They couldn't really articulate it. They couldn't really say it themselves, but they felt it in that moment. A lot of us did. Now, personally, me, I've been the same really from the beginning. I'm like, all this lockdown stuff and whatnot is bogus, it's ridiculous, don't need to do it. It's not going to help anything. You know, I was really following the science. I'm not following these fake scientists like Dr. quote unquote Anthony Fauci and some of these other nut jobs they put on TV. And you know, it gets really weird when you have actual medical doctors who have been in the field for a long time treating patients with no record of misconduct or malpractice or any kind of quackery. When you have real legitimate people, including Dr. Robert Malone, the guy who helped to invent the mRNA technology, which is in the current vax. When you have guys like that being censored by the media, being attacked by politicians who have no record of doing any kind of medical work, when you got that going on, then you know the fix is in. There's a certain narrative they want to push that's beyond the truth. They don't want you to know the truth for their own reasons, whether it be for money or for a political thing. Whatever the case may be, people are starting to see it. You have to see what's going on, okay? Like the whole thing with the nurses. That's one example. The nurses and doctors, a lot of them they don't want to get the vax. Now, why wouldn't they want to get it? They are medical professionals, right? They work in the healthcare field and they're exposed to the bug all the time. Well, they see that their colleagues are getting the vax and still getting sick and still having to stay home and not being able to work. Okay, so it's like, what's the point? Why would I go get this thing when I'm still getting sick, when I'm still having symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, oh, well, the vax, it reduces your symptoms. Well, what are the chances you having really bad symptoms from this bug, especially the Omarion, the Omicron, whatever y'all want to call it? I mean, this thing is pretty much mild, and that's like 99% of all new cases are this particular strand. Because why? Because viruses evolve. Viruses don't want to die. If the virus kills their host right away, they can't live. So rather than the mortality rate being like less than the fraction of a percent, it'll be even less than that because it wants to live longer. Okay. So if the virus becomes less severe to keep the host living, that means that it's going to cause less death. It's going to be less severe. This is how viruses operate. Ain't going to be no vax. Ain't going to be no lockdown that would eliminate the virus. It's just your natural immune system. It's the natural way that viruses operate that will diminish it. That's just what it is. So all these lockdowns and mask wearing, the masks that don't work, by the way, they come out there and said that finally. They said the cloth masks don't work. And the N95, that's paper. If you get that wet, that's not going to work. How are you going to find one of those? It's very expensive and rare. But anyway, my point is that all of what we've been told, we now know is not necessarily true. And if you ask me, my humble opinion, I would say none of it is true. None of it. You know, everything I thought that would happen happened. They said, okay, get this vax, shut down for 2 weeks, slow the spread, flatten the curve. I was like, okay, they're going to extend that. Then they're going to say more and more and more. And here we are to the point where people are getting deported for not getting the vax. But you come in illegally and do whatever you want. You can do that, and that's fine. But if you want to fly in legally, you got to get all types of shots and medications and everything else. It's ridiculous. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Bari Weiss and shout out to Bill Maher for allowing that comment to be said on his show. It needs to be said. And I'm seeing it, quite frankly, more on a lot of these leftist networks. That's a sign of the times right there. When you're seeing even the lefties who have every incentive to back up the president, go against them, go against the mandates, go against the policies, when they start doing stuff like that, then you know it's pretty much coming to an end. And I think that this year, 2022, you're going to see the end of all this virus talk. It'll be a gradual thing. They'll tell you things on television we've been saying for a long time. Slowly but surely, we'll all be proven right. There will be no apology to me talking about, hey, man, I'm sorry for blocking your Facebook post. I'm sorry for blocking your YouTube video. I'm sorry for calling you a nut job and the tinfoil hat wearer, all this, that, and the third. There won't be any apology. It'll just be them gradually wearing everybody back to normal. And the idea is that we forget about it. We forget about the past 2 years of misery, sorrow, heartbreak, and lockdowns and vax and injuries and all that kind of stuff. I will never forget, but I don't know about y'all, and I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Bari Weiss said on Bill Maher's show? Was she right on point, off point? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I say salute to Bari Weiss and Bill Maher and HBO, quite frankly, for allowing that to be said, because a lot of these left-wing networks would never allow that on their airwaves. They would never. And if they do allow it, they would come back with a disclaimer. Oh, that's not the opinion of CNN. We don't condone that. That's what they would do, right? Now, I'm not saying HBO is beyond that, but for them to even put it out there means a whole lot. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.